Hello, fellow simmers, and welcome back to my channel. My name is a feral simmer, and today we are here with part 4 of my Stupid Hood introductions, and we are in Belladonna Cove. I'm actually so excited to be in Belladonna Cove. Belladonna Cove is probably my second most favorite neighborhood, right behind Pleasant View. I feel like if Belladonna Cove was a little bit more cleaned up, I would probably be my favorite one. But because there's like a lot of issues when it comes to the storylines and a lot of the relationships aren't actually kind of marked out as they should be. But I still love it. So I'm super excited to get into all the families here today. A little fun fact though is I rarely use apartments. I love the apartments, and I think that the gameplay around them in the expansion pack is super fun, but they are just so glitchy. I always have a problem when it comes to my apartments. When I invite people over to them, they always disappear into another apartment and then they're just gone. They're just gone. So I can't teleport them back. It says that they're still here, and it's just such a weird situation. So I very rarely actually play with any of the apartments because of it. But I want to go ahead and start with, oh look. Go ahead and start with some more familiar faces. I'm going to go over here because I feel like there's somebody that we need to see. So this is the Tao family, where we have Brandy, Oliver, Tristan, Eleonora, and little Milo. And I'll go ahead and read their description. It says Armand was a loving and doting father. With his passing, Brandy has turned her attention to helping raise her grandkids because it seems like an afterthought to her son and his wife. Welcome to the Tao house. Here we have Brandy Tao, also known as Brandy Broke. We have Eleonora Tao. She is from the Burb family. And then we have Oliver and Tristan and Milo here. So for the most part, this house has stayed the same. I have made some slight changes. There have been so many people that have been in and out of this house. So I've kind of had to make it work. So maybe one of the siblings will come and stay with them for a little bit. But for the most part, I've had, it stay the same. I have altered it so the routing is better. So I'm glad about that. But I will go ahead and see Brandy up here. So I have Brandy here holding her grandchild, Milo, here, just as a preparation for what we're about to see when it comes to Brandy's family tree here. So Brandy did end up marrying Armand very much in the beginning of the rotation. I kind of regretted it, but my hope was that Brandy, because she's honestly a very pretty sim, would help Armand's genes, and that was not the case at all. So yeah, of course we have, Dustin, Bo, and then this is Dylan, who is unborn baby Broke. And then these are her children that she had with Armand, which is Oliver, Odette, and Blake. And we've seen a couple of these guys already, most of them actually. And she has a bunch of grandchildren already. So Brandy has had a very full life. Her and Armand met. I just realized she's still wearing her wedding ring. It's so sad that she's still wearing her wedding ring. Armand's been gone for a little while. But yeah, she hasn't remarried. It looks like she kind of wants to have another relationship. But she is 83 days old, so she still has a little bit of time. She really has poured a lot of time into her grandchildren here. So at least she can say that she has a very big family, which is what I always expected Brandy to have. She did not get a job when she married Armand. She basically focused on having kids with him, since they're both family sims, and that's both what they wanted. She is an Aries, so she's a little bit more sloppy. She wasn't a great housewife, but she was very good at cooking. She's a little bit more outgoing, kind of lazy, a little bit more playful and nice, and she has definitely been overweight for most of her life. For her secondary, she is a popularity sim, so she had lots of parties for her children. And then for her traits, she's unlucky, a daredevil, a vehicle enthusiast, a kleptomaniac, and loves the heat. But she likes to sew. That's her like hobby that she's been working on in her old age. So she has just some small projects that she's been working on. I also want to take a look at Milo here, who doesn't look like he has the best genetics, but it doesn't look like all the other children of Armand who had the insanely high cheekbones, and everybody has had plastic surgery. So I don't know what Milo's going to look like comparative. His brother Tristan definitely got Armand's genes, but I do want to just cover him real quick. He did recently become a toddler, so he still has a bunch of skills to learn, but for his personality, he's a Leo, so he's more sloppy, very outgoing, a little bit more lazy. He's playful, and he's in between grouchy and nice. But I'm going to go ahead and show his parents here. So here are Milo and Tristan's parents. This is Eleonora and Oliver. They are both romance sims. So they had a situation where Oliver wanted to kind of inherit his father's house. It's obviously a very, very nice house. And he and Eleonora have kind of had a thing going since they were teenagers. Eleonora is a little bit older than him, just by a couple days. But in order for that to happen, they had to get married. So I figured, they are both romance sims, but both of their secondaries are actually family. So it's not like they didn't want to have, like, the view that they were a perfect family. But they do have definitely a lot of flings. And this has been going on through their entire, teenage and adult lives. Eleonora doesn't have a job. I don't think she's going to get one. She's not very interested. She's just focused on being a mother and enjoying this lavish lifestyle. She's a Leo as well, just like her son. So she is a little bit more sloppy. She's very outgoing, kind of lazy, playful, but in between grouchy and nice. And then for her secondary, like I said, she's a family. And for her traits, she is dramatic, ambitious, a schmoozer, neurotic, and a party animal. And then Oliver here, who definitely had some facial reconstruction to not look so much like his father. I wanted him to look more like Brandy. He is a romance sim. His secondary is also family, like I said. He does have a job. He has a custom career. He works, I guess it's called the fitness fanatic career, but he is very into fitness. That's always been his thing, even though he doesn't have a lot of points in it right now. So yeah, he's an active line employee. So he's just been kind of casually doing it. They have tons of money, so it's not like he is, pressured to do it. For his personality, he is a Leo, just like his wife. Lots of Leos. So sloppy, very outgoing, very lazy, pretty playful, and a little bit more grouchy than nice. And for his traits, he loves the cold, loves to swim. He's good. He's a little bit brooding, and he is star quality. And then I want to go see Tristan. So Tristan here does have the Debot face. You can tell by the cheekbones. These cursed cheekbones. I don't know what it is with EA and how they must make all the rich blonde sims ugly. I am referring also to Malcolm. But yeah, he does have the gray eyes like his grandmother, though, so that's cute. He's kind of recently become a child, so he still has plenty of time before he turns into a teenager, so he's just trying to get into school. I haven't gotten him in private school, but he definitely will be in it. I think I'm just kind of waiting for Milo here to age up, so I only have to do invite the headmaster over once, but he is actually a Libra, so he's a little bit different. So he is a little bit more sloppy, very outgoing, more lazy. He's playful and pretty nice, so even though he doesn't have the same sign, he still has a very similar personality to his parents and brother. But for the most part, he will either be a popularity sim or a romance sim, is how I'm probably going to go with him. So it just depends on what I want to do with his brother. So that's our first house here in Belladonna Cove. Armand is actually still here, back here. I was going to put him in the Belladonna Cove graveyard or cemetery that they already have in the neighborhood, but it's kind of small, so I'm debating on making one that is kind of named after Armand. We'll have to see. But this house has had a lot of Sims in it. I've had a lot of Sims move in temporarily. Tara had to move back in. But for the most part, I like this house a lot. So I'm excited to come back and play in it. But we're going to go on to our next family. So I figured we'd go ahead and kind of stick to this area over here to the Rutherford house with no Jeff Rutherford. So this is a little bit dated, but I guess it's still relevant to the family here. So we have Chloe and Zenith here. So the description says Jeff has spent his whole life running from real responsibility. While him and Chloe have come to a mutual understanding of the relationship, can he get his son Zenith to understand as well? Now at the Rutherford estate, we have Chloe here, Chloe Rutherford, formerly Chloe Curious, and her son Zenith, who is actually Jeff's son. So Chloe and Jeff had a relationship for a long time, and she ended up getting pregnant by him, but they weren't together for the longest time. And it wasn't until he got into his, elder years that he kind of wanted to make sure that he passed this on to a family member. So him and Chloe decided to get married in order to kind of get Zenith into, what Jeff kind of perceived as his right. So I do think he actually has one more child. Where is it? Yeah, he actually does have another child named Felix, which is actually the son of Miranda Cap and Jeff. But for the most part, Felix kind of has his own thing going on because he's also from a very nice family. So he figured he might as well take his time with Zenith, since Zenith was a little bit younger, and kind of influence him a little bit. Chloe still romanced him. Her and Jeff kind of had that mutual understanding that even though they are together, they still will see people freely. So that's kind of where, and also Chloe she wasn't living in the best conditions, even though Jeff was helping her out. So moving into this house was definitely a great improvement, which she didn't mind at all. So she's in the dance career. I'm probably going to have her retire soon. She only has one vacation day. She's only ever stayed at this for the vast majority of her life. She's never cared to improve. She just only wanted to date other Sims. She's a Cancer. She's sloppy, she's very outgoing, she's pretty lazy, very playful, and grouchy. And then for her secondary, she's a secondary family Sim. So she did actually try and give her kids the best life that she could. And then for her traits, she is flirty. She's a night owl, a diva, a mooch, and a party animal. So she was definitely a very fun Sim to play. I'm going to go ahead and show her. So I wanted to show Chloe and Zenith here together. They do actually look pretty similar. So Zenith definitely got part of the alien genes. He has the black eyes, and so he was pretty insecure about that for most of his life. He wore glasses as a child and a teenager, and then but as he grew up and went to university and kind of got to know himself a little bit better, he became less ashamed of it, so he doesn't wear his little glasses anymore. He is a popularity Sim, and then he's unemployed. He does want to get into the medical career, which is kind of new for me when it comes to a popularity Sim. He is a secondary fortune Sim, though, so maybe that has something to do with it. He is a bot fan. He loves to swim. He's friendly, a party animal, and I haven't given him his last trait yet. But he does have a fiancée right here, Faye Summer Dream, so she is part of the Summer Dream family. He does have a couple more flings. I think this was a spontaneous proposal, so I'm going to have to go through and kind of get rid of all these relationships. Most of them are just oh well, he has a whole bunch. Sometimes my popularity Sims just kind of go crazy a little bit. But yeah, so we'll probably have Faye move in, and we'll see what happens from there. I don't think that we're going to have any fidelity issues with them, but you never know. But it's definitely going to be a hassle to go through and kind of see all of his, flings and be like, yeah, we can't be cool anymore. But yeah, just a look at Chloe here and her son Zenith. So final look at the house here. Jeff's still here. So he's also somebody that I want to put into the Belladonna Cove graveyard. But like I said, it is getting pretty tight there. So maybe we'll have to do a different graveyard for all the Sims that pass away in game. While I'm trying to decide on who to go to next, because there's a lot of Sims in this town that have moved away, and then other Sims that have moved together, because my theory when it comes to Belladonna Cove is because we have all these skyscrapers that downtown is just like right over here. Like I kind of have like a theory when it comes to all of my neighborhoods is how they're connected is Belladonna Cove is right next to downtown, and if you take a certain way, you'll end up in Pleasant View, or you might end up in Veronaville. So this is kind of like a meeting point for all of the neighborhoods. But I think I want to go towards the Contender house, where there's only Carlos Contender, but this is Carlos Contender the second. So he is the son of Carlos Contender, but the original Carlos has passed away a long time ago at this point. So his description says, the name Contender is synonymous with a legendary fighter. But though Carlos shares his father's name, he prefers jokes to fights. Can he prove that he can make a career from comedy? Here he is. We are now at the Contender house, where we only have one Sim here, but I'll go ahead. I want to show his family tree. So Carlos Contender the first did actually marry Jessica Contender. This wasn't like a really so much of a deeply in love thing. This was more a I need somebody to take care of me in my old age thing. And because Jessica's known as a little bit of a gold digger, I figured that it would work out. So they do actually have 2 kids together. So we have Carlos, and this is Rosa Peterson, who's actually still living in this town. But we're going to focus on Carlos today. So Carlos is a romance sim. So here is Carlos. He is a romance sim, much like his father. He has plenty of flings going on. He doesn't have any kids yet, which is actually kind of surprising considering, you know, where he's at in life and how many flings that he has had. Yet, he might have a kid on the way, actually. So he's a romance sim, got that from his dad. He is in the entertainment career, so he's doing very well in it. So he is headliner level 9, so he should be the master of ceremonies quite soon. He makes a bunch of money doing it. He's a Gemini. He is a little bit more sloppy. He's outgoing, active. He's more serious and a little bit grouchy. He did go to university. His secondary is fortune, so he does like making money and having a nice big house. He's a night owl. He's eco-friendly. He loves the heat, and has a good sense of humor and is inappropriate. So I felt like having a performing or comedy career really worked out for him. He has one of those mics, so he's been practicing on it for a good chunk of his life. I don't know what else I'm going to have in store with Carlos, even though I do enjoy kind of playing a one romance sim every now and again. It just gets a little lonely, and he does kind of have a bit of a legacy, but I feel like some sim is pregnant with his baby. But we'll have to see. But yeah, this house is pretty simple. And a final look here at the Contender house, where the only inhabitant is Carlos Contender II. Since we did cover Carlos here, his sister is actually right over here. Her name is Rosa Peterson, and then this is her boyfriend, Philip Pleasant. I don't have a description for them. They just moved in from university, so they're still a little bit fresh, and I don't know if they're actually going to stay in this house. Probably not, because they're both fortune sims, so I'm sure they want to move into something much nicer. So this ugly house here is the Peterson house, or will be the Peterson house. I actually had the Clevelands live in here for quite some time, but Rosa and Philip are probably going to be out of here soon. They have a lot of simoleons. So I figured they wanted to just kind of live in here to save up, and then eventually they would move out and get a nice big house. Looks like Philip here wants to start a family. Well, I want to go ahead and see them. So here we have Philip and Rosa here. I actually do really love them. I think they're such a cute couple. They are both fortune sims, so they definitely want to have a nicer house and a nicer place to live. She is 34 days before becoming an elder, and he's a little bit younger by being 37 days before an elder. She is in the athletic career, so she is level 8, and she's definitely going to be moving up there. She is a Gemini, so she's more sloppy, in between shy not going, very active, a little bit more serious, and a little grouchy. When it comes to her secondary, she's a secondary family sim. And then for her traits, she loves to swim, she's a vehicle enthusiast, she's a light sleeper, a hopeless romantic, and a vegetarian. And just, even though we saw her brother, I want to show her family tree. They're together, but they aren't engaged. I'm sure that's going to happen at some point. Looks like she has a couple of former boyfriends she has to get rid of. They got together at university, so these might be old. And then Philip here is the son of Mary Sue and Daniel Pleasant, their only biological child together that's a man or a male. I think this is actually the only male child of Daniel Pleasant. He looks a little bit more like Mary Sue, which is, oh no, he looks like Daniel. He just has Mary Sue's black hair. But yeah, he's super cute. I'm excited for them to have kids. But he is also a fortune sim. But he is also in the athletic career, so you can see why these guys got together. And he is a Pisces though, so he's in between sloppy and neat. He's pretty shy, maximum active, and more serious, but very, very, very nice. And his secondary is family. So yeah, they're definitely gonna probably get engaged here and then have a kid. Maybe not in that order, but we'll have to see. But he's a night owl. He loves the cold. He is a vehicle enthusiast, a workaholic, and a athletic sim. So they're just focused on making a ton of money, and then they will eventually have some kids. And a final look at their house here, at least their house for now. I do expect them to want to move shortly, which is fine. They have plenty of simoleons to use, so it'll be nice to get them a very nice house, maybe at the top of the hill with the other rich sims in Belladonna Cove. I was going to avoid this house for a little bit because it is very complicated. This is the Gavigan house over here, and there is much more than meets the eye. So we have Isaiah Gavigan, his son Beaumont, and Willow here. And their description says, Isaiah was heartbroken to find his love Tara in the arms of another and kicked her out without another thought. He desperately wanted love and tried to find it when others weren't looking. Now that he's found love with a younger woman, but can he still be the man his split family needs? And this is our Gavigan house. It's a very nice house. I like this house a lot. I downloaded it off, I believe, either Tumblr or Mod The Sims. This house was actually a gift from Armand to Tara after she got married, but after the divorce happened and she got kicked out by Isaiah, she moved out and he actually had to pay a bunch of money in order to stay in this house. I think he still owes her money, like half of the house value towards her. So this house has been very complicated, but I'm going to go ahead and show the tree here. So here we have Isaiah. He does have a sister. And here is Beaumont. That is the child of Tara. This is her biological child with him. For the longest time, Isaiah wanted to have another child with Tara, and she wasn't able to conceive, which he thought was fertility issues, but in reality it was her not wanting to have another child without telling him. So they ended up adopting Willow here in kind of a way to save the marriage type of situation. And basically right after they adopted her, Tara got caught cheating. So she's kind of like, unfortunately, like a stepchild situation. She came into a family and immediately everything broke apart. So it wasn't great. She was originally kind of connected to Tara, but I changed that relationship because Tara is very much not in her life. I think they still have a pretty good relationship, though. Yeah, they still have a good relationship because she was around when she was a toddler. But for the most part, she is only Isaiah's kid. Here we have Isaiah here, who has had probably one of the most complicated lives in the game in terms of his relationships. Him and Tara got together when they were rather young. Stayed together, got married, had a kid, you know, kind of dream lifestyle. He's a family sim, so that's exactly what he wanted. Then their fertility issues hit, obviously, and then it kind of caused a lot of drama. Tara ended up getting caught cheating. So Isaiah, in his desperation to find love, kind of like went off, dated a whole bunch of people. He's a little bit of a horn dog, I'm not gonna lie. So he was woohooing with the different other Sims, and he ended up actually getting, we've already met her, Madison here, pregnant, and she had twins. So he has 2 other kids, which he doesn't mind because he wants to have lots of kids. He is kind of trying to, you know, be a somewhat father figure, but they're obviously still just babies, so it's hard to go over there because he doesn't have a good relationship with her, I don't think. No, I guess, okay, no, they have a good relationship. Over here is his new fiance, Nova. So she's going to be moving in here shortly, so they're going to get married and, you know, probably have more kids, so he's going to have a lot of kids in his family or connected to him, which is fine because he is a family sim. So yeah, he wants to have another kid, he wants to get married, so that's going to happen. I believe Nova really wasn't interested that much. She's a popularity sim, but she, you know, I think they started, you know, hooking up and they had really good chemistry and got along really, really well. But before actually they got together, him and Tara still kind of were having a fling every now and again, and there was a possibility that they were going to get back together, and then he ended up meeting Nova and was like, you know what, no, it's time to move forward in my life. He does make good money, which he needs to, considering he now has 2 twins that he has to pay for outside of this house, and then he has to pay Tara back for this house. And then, but she does play a little bit of child support. But he's in the intelligence career. He's almost to the top of it. He's level 9, so he should be able to get to the 10th if he wants to. As of now, he doesn't have any interest in it. He is a Taurus here, so he's in between sloppy and neat, in between shy, not going. He's a little bit more lazy, but he's very playful and kind of grouchy. His secondary here is knowledge. And for his traits, he's a born salesman, over-emotional, a mooch, a bookworm, and a gatherer. And here we have Beaumont here, he's such a sweet kid, but he's over here cleaning his sister's room. He is also a family sim, so he wants to, you know, fall in love. He really hasn't found anyone yet, even though he's going to be going to university at the end of this round. He's a little bit goofy looking, but that's okay. I'm sure he'll grow up to look cuter. He did have like a small fling with another sim, but there's a bit of an age difference between them, so she's already out of university, so that's probably not going to be a thing anymore. He is a Taurus, so he is kind of neat, in between shy and outgoing. He's lazy, but very playful and kind of grouchy. And then for the traits that he has so far, he's a perfectionist, a mooch, a gatherer, and he is lucky. He's not going to get his secondary until university, which I'm pretty sure he's going to go to. I'm not 100%. I guess it's going to depend. I wouldn't be opposed to him not going because, like I said, he is a family sim, so maybe he doesn't want to, but we'll see. And this is Willow, who is the adopted daughter of just Isaiah now. She does have some fond memories of Tara when she lived here. But I do feel for this girl. She is kind of a rejected stepchild situation. So she is interesting looking. So we'll have to see when she grows into a teenager, which she will grow into a teenager this round. So I haven't really fleshed her out. She doesn't have an aspiration yet, but she's a Gemini, so she's either going to be romance or fortune. So, but yeah, she's very sloppy. She's outgoing, active, a little bit more playful, but grouchy. His family's kind of grouchy. But she has an A+ in public school, so she's at least trying. And she does have a good relationship with Tara, so they still talk and whatnot. But for the most part, They just are, you know, kind of dealing with living with their dad, and then soon they'll have a new stepmother. And that is my very complicated Gavigan house. But I do love this family a lot just because it has been so crazy. Tara's actually in downtown, so we'll see her in part 5 of the introductions for the Stupid Hood. And since we saw Isaiah, we're going to go over here to the other Gavigan house. This is the house of Natasha Cordial, Derek Cordial, and Barbara Cordial. So Natasha's her original last name was Gavigan, and her parents actually were living here originally, but they passed away. So she inherited this house. But the description says Natasha had almost lost hope when it came to love, but Derek, who was always a good friend, came back into her life after he had his heartbreak. The two bonded and hit it off, happy with their own family. Will the past catch up with them? Welcome to the second Gavigan house here. This is another house that I downloaded. I don't remember where I got it from, but here we have Natasha Cordial, Derek Cordial, and Barbara Cordial. So I want to go ahead and show the family tree for this household. So yeah, Natasha here is the second child of Mary and Nathan Gavigan. They were living here, but they recently passed. And this is her husband, Derek. Derek is the son of Darren and Samantha. So he did inherit the Cordial last name, mainly because I think Samantha gave birth to him before her and Darren got married. Which is fine. I like the last name a lot. So, for a while, Derek was actually in a relationship with another sim. I believe it was Madison Gear, that they were together for a long time, but she is a non-committal sim, so they ended up breaking up. And even though he is a popularity sim, I believe he is a secondary family. So, it ended up not working out between them, and then him and Natasha ended up getting together. I came up here and everybody was up in the bedroom and Natasha's just looking at her husband holding their child together. It's so cute. So yeah, Natasha, for the most part, had the hardest, time getting into a relationship. She tried for so long. She was dating, older men, but for the most part, she really wasn't that attracted to anyone. So, her and Derek had been friends for a long time, but he had been in a relationship with Madison, so since she had gotten cheated on, she wasn't about to do that to anyone, even for people she doesn't like. She's a fortune sim. She is actually at the top of the oceanography career. She's a Hand of Poseidon, so she makes very, very good money. This house is very wealthy, so I want to add more to it. She is an Aquarius, so she's a little bit more sloppy, a little bit more shy. She's active, very playful, and a little bit more nice than grouchy. She's a secondary family, so she did want to grow her family. They're probably going to have another child. I have it saved, and I think he also wants to have a child. And then for her traits, she is charismatic, a photographer's eye, an angler, a mooch, and she loves the outdoors. So I think I'm going to add a pond. They do have a garden. So she's actually been out there gardening for a little bit. Do you have? Yeah, so she has a nature hobby. So she has a garden. I think I'm going to add a nice pond out there for her so she can fish. And Derek here holding his daughter. He got Samantha's eyes, which are my favorite. So he is a popularity sim. Like I said, he is a secondary family sim, so yeah, they are definitely going to have at least one more child together. He is a CEO, level 9, so he's doing very good for himself. They obviously are a very wealthy family. Secondary fortune. And for his traits, he's friendly, he's a hopeless romantic, he's a little bit brooding, he's a heavy sleeper, and he is a coward. So that's an interesting combination. He's holding their daughter here. I want to get a look at her because they have some interesting genes. So I'm excited for them to have more kids. This is Barbara Cordial. She just turned into a toddler. So she doesn't know any of her traits, but when it comes to her personality, she is a Cancer. So she is kind of sloppy, kind of shy, a little bit more active, more playful, and a little bit more nice. So she's definitely middle of the road when it comes to her personality. But she's got the green eyes. I don't think she has her dad's eyes. I think she has her mother's eyes. So one of these kids is getting his eyes. I don't care. Those eyes will live on in my hood as long as they can. So yeah, just another growing family here. It took a while for both of them to finally find someone and, you know, become happy. I did want to show over here. I do have Nathan and Mary's graves over here. So I will have to move them to a graveyard soon. Their ghosts were actually floating around here before it turned to daylight. But yeah, I think this is the last of the Gavigans. I don't know who I'm going to go to next. We'll have to see. So I actually want to go over here to this house. This is the Cordial house where we have Kimberly, Skylar, Aiden, and Faust. And the description here is pretty simple, but it says, Skylar knew her mom and dad were always a bit different, and she always strived to learn more. She was lucky to find a partner who finds interest in the same things as her. We are now at the Cordial house. This was a kind of a townhouse build that I got from, I believe, Mod the Sims. So here we have Kimberly Cordial, the atrociously evil witch, Aiden Cordial, Skylar Cordial, and Faust. Kimberly was in a relationship with Vidkind, whose grave is still here, and they had one child together, which is Skylar. And they did not get married. They had their child together, and Vidkin's alien daughter Juno lived here for quite some time as well. But for the most part, they didn't want to get married, so I never had them get married. But yeah, I'll go ahead and show the family tree here. So yeah, this is Kimberly's only daughter. Like I said, it's with Vidkin. Here's Juno, and then this is her husband Aiden here, who is the child of Vivian and Timothy Riley. Here we have Kimberly right here. She is still very much a witch, and she is obviously an evil witch. I have her in like a secret room here with all of her magic stuff, even though there's windows into this room, but it is still like a little secret room. I'm going to have her stop here. She is a knowledge sim. When it came to the Cordial sisters, I really tried my best to make sure that they got into relationships where their partner wouldn't constantly be rolling the want for them to no longer be a witch, because I feel like it's part of their identity. So we'll take her a look. She definitely has the green skin, a little wonky. She is retired from the general career. So she stayed in that job her entire life. She's an Aries, so she's a little bit more sloppy. She's kind of shy. She's a little bit more active, in between serious and playful, and grouchy. Her and her sister have a fairly good relationship still. She doesn't have a secondary. I didn't really feel like she needed one, so I never gave her a second one. For her traits, she's a light sleeper. She's ambitious. She's a smoozer. She has commitment issues, and she is shy. So yeah, this is why her and Vidkin never really got married. But he didn't really care. He's weird enough, you know. But yeah, she's 63 days old, so she still has a little bit of time. And I have Aiden here actually holding his son Faust. He definitely looks a lot like his mother, but I want to give a little look at Faust if I can. He has kind of hair. He did get his grandmother/mother's eyes at least, so he has green eyes. But when it comes to Aiden is also a knowledge sim, so both him and Skylar are knowledge sims. He is a general in the military career. He worked up very, very quickly. He is an Aries, so he's very neat, very outgoing, very active, in between serious and playful, and grouchy. And I'll just cover Faust here since he's here. He recently became a toddler, so I think he needs to learn all of his skills. He is neat. He's very shy. He is active, a little bit more active, in between serious and playful, and nice. So he's probably going to be a knowledge sim just like everybody else in this household. And this is Skylar Cordial, the only daughter of Kimberly here. She definitely has like a retro look for her. I kind of wanted that to be like her aesthetic. She is a knowledge sim. She's a Virgo, so she's very neat, very shy, more active, a little bit more serious, but also very, very nice. So her and her son are very, very similar. And for her job, she is in the medicine career. So she is a surgeon level 8. And her secondary is family. And for her traits, she is shy, no sense of humor, irresistible, a night owl, and star quality. And that is the Cordial family. So they live in this lovely little townhouse that I downloaded. It worked out really well for them. And then Kimberly got this old car. I feel like it fit her kind of, it fit the retro theme of the house. And I feel like Kimberly just driving this old fashioned car was such a vibe. So, but yeah, we'll go ahead and I think we should go to, perhaps, actually, we're going to go to the Broke family because that's Vidkin's child. She is still here in Belladonna Cove. Just across the way at this house right here, this is the Broke house where Juno lives. But also Dylan Broke, who is unborn baby Broke. This is Bellatrix. Juno, obviously. This is Zahir and Ollivander. I don't have a bio for this family. They actually kind of moved into this house recently. They were staying here, but it was just getting too crazy, so I wanted to give them their own place. So we'll go ahead and meet them. And this is the Broke household. I did download this house. I think it's really cute. It actually kind of reminds me of a European countryside house. But here we have Dylan Broke, his wife Juno Broke. Zahir is a child that Juno had from a previous relationship. And then we have Bellatrix and Ollivander, which are Juno and Dylan's biological children together. This is Dylan Broke here, also known as unborn baby Broke. So he is the child that Brandy is pregnant with at the very end, or at the very beginning of Pleasant View. He's very close with all of his siblings. However, my whole idea with him is, even though he grew up in Armand's mansion, I wanted him to be very blue collar, wants to work really hard. He's a popularity sim, and I gave him, this is a custom career, the auto mechanic career, and it has a correlating degree from university. So I wanted him to be very rugged, very blue collar, works with his hands type of guy. They don't have a lot of simoleons, so they recently bought this house. They had saved up for a long time, and after Juno's father died, she ended up getting a bunch of money, so they were able to finally get their own house. For his personality, he is a Pisces, so he's in between sloppy and neat. He's outgoing, a little bit more active, a little bit more serious, and he's very, very nice. For his secondary, he's a secondary family, so I gave this to him when I decided that him and Juno were going to settle down. They don't have the best chemistry. They only have one bolt, but Juno, when she got left at the altar, her and Dylan had always been friends, and nothing was pursued because they didn't have great chemistry. But it ended up being something that, I think it was ACR, but it worked out in my opinion. I really enjoy them, and even though it didn't start out that way, Dylan was a little bit of a player. He had plenty of just random relationships, generally with some romance sims around town. Juno is over here relaxing on the bed. So yeah, Juno is the alien abduction baby of Vidkin Curious. She and Badri had been together since they were teenagers, and since she is a family sim, obviously having a relationship was very important to her. They were together all through college. Badri cheated on her any chance he got, and it wasn't until the day that they were supposed to get married, he ended up leaving her at the altar. And in doing so, because all of the Curious family was there, having a bad reputation with every Curious member, and since there are so many of them, basically anytime he went out, he would get fought. So that's something fun. So her family had her back for sure. So she's a family sim. She is in the adventure career. She's a dread pirate. Not a dead pirate, a dread pirate. She hasn't really moved up much in the career, mainly because she's just been trying to have some kids because her and Dylan kind of got together later in life, so she's just been trying to have her kids while she can. For her personality, she is a Virgo, so she's very, very neat. She's shy, though, active, playful, and just a little bit grouchy. Her secondary is knowledge. And for her traits, she's absent-minded, neurotic, angler, handy, and she's a schmoozer. But I'll go ahead and see her child, Baudry. So this is Baudry. He is the child of Bellatrix. She actually got pregnant with him while they were engaged. So that's where he comes up in that timeline between Juno and Baudry. And obviously he looks very much like his father. He's a knowledge sim. He's a Virgo, so he's max neat, very shy, more active, very playful, but grouchy. Do you have a girlfriend? He's into Olivia. But I think, no, they're about the same age. So maybe something will come of that. It's still pretty early for him. He's not going to have a secondary, and he doesn't have his traits yet. So we'll have to give him some traits soon. I think he's fairly close with his father. Not really. I do try to have him. He's close with his grandmother, at least. I try to have him be close with his known family. Hassan here is also his brother, half-brother. And this is Bellatrix. She is, I think today is actually her first day of school. She hasn't been a child for very long. She is obviously very alien. She is in the public school system. And for her personality, she is a Capricorn. So she's max neat, very shy, a little bit more active, very playful, and nice. So she's probably going to grow up into a family sim. But I want to go see Ollivander. I wanted to get a better look at Ollivander here. Kind of see who he's more looking like. He's definitely interesting looking. He does have gray eyes, though, so he has his grandmother's eyes. I don't know if he's met Brandy yet. He has. Okay, good. Brandy definitely is involved in most of her grandchildren's lives. So he has just become a child, so he still needs skills to learn. But he is a Sagittarius, so he's a little bit more neat, very shy. He is active, playful, and nice. Wow. So he is probably going to either be probably a fortune sim. So, because he is max active. But yeah, we'll actually see him grow up, and he's probably going to have a sibling or two. And our final look here at the Broke House. They have a cute little, I kind of want to have a more rustic look for them. Like I said, I always felt like Dylan, he's a very humble guy. So, and they actually have a nice oceanside view. I'm actually going to go over here to this house, the Cho house, where we have Etsu Cho, June Cho, and Garrett Cho, who is actually Garrett Newsom. And I will go ahead and read their description. It says, Etsu and Garrett came to an understanding when it came to raising their daughter together. But now that she is older, can they keep this side hidden away for much longer? It looks like she's missing her hair. We are here at the Cho house, and this is the house of Etsu Cho, Garrett Cho, formerly Garrett Newsom, and their daughter, June Cho. I do use this house for Bella in Pleasant View as well. I think I'll change it up a little bit, but it works for now. This is Etsu Cho. I'm trying to get a good look at her, but her hair kind of gets in the way a little bit. I will show her tree. So yeah, she is the daughter of Vivian Riley, formerly Vivian Cho, and I don't know how to pronounce that. So she's the only child between them, so I wanted her to keep her Cho last name. Garrett is just part of the Newsom tribe. So we'll go ahead over Etsu here. So Etsu's a romance sim. She is at the top of the dance career. She's a Gemini, so she's in between sloppy and neat, very outgoing, pretty active, more serious and more grouchy. Her secondary is Fortune, and she is a great kisser, a vegetarian, absent-minded, ambitious, and loves to swim. And she has the no jealousy token because Garrett here, even though he is a popularity sim, his secondary is romance. So that's kind of the thing between Etsu and Garrett. They are in an open marriage, but they do their best try to not, like, do it in front of their daughter. This is both of their first children. I don't know if they're going to have any more. Garrett might happen with someone else, because Garrett has this weird thing where he has 3 bolts with almost everyone. It's insane that how many people he has 3 bolts with while not being a romance sim. So that was kind of my thing why I wanted to make him a romance sim, because I was like, this is a coincidence. Garrett here is apparently extremely attractive. Let me show him. Well, he's getting in bed. So yeah, this is Garrett, which I mean, like, I don't think he's an unattractive sim, but I think it's funny that it just happened to be him. Because he's just a popularity sim. He's part of the Newsom, I don't want to call them orphans again, but I guess they did become orphans again, but that family. So he is a Pisces, so he's in between sloppy and neat. He's more shy. He's pretty active, more serious and nice. And he is in the business career. He didn't go to university, and he doesn't really care. I mean, that's kind of one benefit for him moving in and marrying Etsu, was that she made such good money, so he could kind of be a little bit more lazy. And he did help out, like, raising his daughter, too. So it wasn't like it was just, you know, him living off her. I think I covered that. Oh, he is a secondary romance sim, so he doesn't have the bonus that makes him more attractive to the other sims. He just is, I guess. He loves the heat. He's flirty. He's a perfectionist. He's irresistible and vegetarian. I gave him that because that's not part of the attraction. He had it before. This trait I just gave to him because he just happened to be irresistible to everyone. And Etsu here, who learned from her parents, we have her stop. She is a dancer just like her mom, but she is very much like her parents in the fact that she is also a romance sim. There she is. So yeah, she's interesting. I am interested to see what happens when she ages up into a young adult/adult. So yeah, she's a romance sim. She's an Aries, so she is in between sloppy and neat. She's very outgoing, more active, more serious, and in between grouchy and nice. I don't think well, maybe. We'll see. I think he's a family sim. But yeah, but she's a fresh teenager. She has 8 days till she grows up, but she wants to have her very first kiss and make a bunch of friends, especially with Beaumont here, so she should be pretty fun. And for her secondary, I think I will probably make her Fortune. And that's the look at the Cho house here. I figured I'd come to them because Etsu's actually I guess both of them are originally from the Belladonna Cove, but I think we're going to go see Garrett's siblings next. Next door to the Contender house, we have a Newsom house here. And this is the house that has Georgia Newsom, Ginger Monty, Benedict Monty, Poppy Newsom, Gianni Monty, Gisela Monty, and Valentina Monty. And I will read their description. It says, Ginger has worked hard to make sure every one of her siblings had everything they would need to be successful. Georgia, the baby of the family, has taken upon herself to make the most of her sister's generosity. Now that she's pregnant, will she step up and become the mother her child needs? Or will Ginger have to step in once again? This is the Newsom house, and it's definitely not my favorite. This started off as a house that I've just added on to. And here we have Benedict Monty, who is the child of Hero and Antonio Monty, and his sister is Beatrice. This is his wife, Ginger, and Ginger is obviously part of the Newsom tribe. Her sister Georgia is here as well with one of her kids. Georgia has 3 kids with a 4th on the way, and they were all from different fathers. Poppy is the only one of her children that live here. And then we have Gianni, Gisella, and Valentina Monti, which I wanted to give them all, like, kind of Italian-sounding names. So yeah, that's them, and we'll go ahead and see Ginger and Benedict. I came up here and these two were making out, funnily enough. So yeah, this is Benedict Monti. He is the son of Antonio Monti and the brother of Beatrice Monti. He and Ginger have been together for quite some time. He's a fortune sim. He is a criminal mastermind. He is a Sagittarius. He's sloppy, a little bit more outgoing. He's very active, more playful, and more nice. His secondary is family. And for his traits, he's excitable, he's a perfectionist, he's a gatherer, he's handy, and he's flirty. And Ginger here, who has basically helped raise all of her siblings, I kind of gave her this, like, I think, yeah, she's a double agent, so I kind of wanted to give her, like, a secret agent look, I guess, if that makes sense. She is a family sim. So yeah, she has a bunch of kids. I don't think she's going to have any more. She's 15 days away from becoming an elder. She definitely has babied her sister, Georgia, here. Even though Georgia has had a lot of kids, and Ginger has been there and helped raise basically all of them. So there's definitely a little bit of, like, Benedict always feels like Georgia has taken advantage of Ginger, even though Ginger does love it. And Georgia does pull her weight. She still works. She always watches the kids when they're away at work, since she's pregnant all the time anyway. And so it ends up being like a mutual thing for them at the end of the day, even if it's a little annoying. So Ginger here, she's a double agent, and she's a Taurus. So she is between sloppy and neat. She's in between shy and outgoing. She's more lazy, very playful, and a little bit grouchy. Her secondary is knowledge, and for her traits, she is a mooch, she's a snob, she's handy, she's a light sleeper, and she's a natural-born performer. Georgia here, who is obviously very pregnant, which I don't even remember who the father is, but that's just who she is. She wants to woohoo with 20 different sims, so that should tell you where she's at. She is a romance sim with a full aspiration. She does work in a culinary career. She didn't go to college, so she's probably not going to move up, nor has she really cared to. She has like 7 vacation days, so she just kind of, as long as she has this job, Benedict is usually not mad about the whole situation, even though she's pregnant again. And Poppy, I think, is about to move off to college. So she's a prep cook. I don't know. She's a Gemini. She's more sloppy. She's pretty outgoing, very active, more serious, and more grouchy. Her secondary is fortune, so she does try and at least provide. And then for her traits, she's hot-headed, she's a heavy sleeper, brooding, dramatic, and an angler. And these are a little bit random for her, but I don't mind that. So yeah, I mean, I will go over her children. So this is Poppy Newsom, her oldest, who is here. This is child of Johnny Nigmos. And then Killian here is the child of Georgia and Romeo. He is currently staying with his dad. And then Yasmina here is child of Sylvan Summerdream and Georgia. But Yasmina is currently being raised by Georgia's sister and Sylvan's sister, who are in a relationship together. So since this is their niece, it works out perfectly because it's blood related to both of them. So they are raising Yasmina currently. So yeah, Georgia is, she's definitely a fun sim to play. I always kind of have her as being like a little bit white trash. She likes to drink, she likes to party. She has been there for her kids. She has a good relationship with all of her children. So it's not like, and her nieces and nephews. So she has done her part. She has helped raise Ginger's kids when they're off at work. So it's worked out for them, even if this is a hectic household. Oh gosh, look at Poppy here. Look at Poppy. So yeah, this is Poppy. She is nice. Good look at her. She's the child of Johnny Nigmos, which she not only knows Johnny. I think this is kind of something that is, you know, kept under the rug, but she's also best friends with his daughter, Vera, she's a little bit younger, but they have been close for quite some time, so she would always go over to Johnny's house. So they have a fairly good relationship. When it comes to, she's a public school student, so she's probably going to go to college. She will go today. So we will only see her a little bit before she gets sent off to university. Oh, geez. Gianni here, who is working out, is also a teenager. I kind of wanted him... the names of Benedict and Ginger here, I tried to make them Italian names, because that's kind of the theme with the Monties. So he looks like his dad, so he looks like a Monty. He is a fortune sim, and he goes to public school. I might try to get him into private school, but he is a Pisces, so he is sloppy, he's shy, he's more active, more playful, and very nice. And I don't think you have any real... No, he doesn't have any relationships yet. At least I don't think. No, he definitely does not. Wow, okay. And then he does have a couple traits. So he's shy, he's a light sleeper, and he's easily impressed. So I think that works out pretty well for him. So Gisela here, who definitely looks like a Monty, is actually her birthday today. So she will become a teenager today, so that's going to be really fun. So for her personality, she's in Taurus, so she is in between sloppy and neat, in between shy, not going, more lazy, very playful, and kind of grouchy. I think I'm going to make her a family sim. I think that works out. So yeah, we'll actually see her grow up. She is a public school student. I think I might do Ginger's kids go into private school and maybe Georgia's kids don't. I'll make that work out for them. So I just had Ginger come and grab Valentina here. She did recently become a toddler. So I don't think she's learned any of her skills yet. Oh no, she's learned to talk. Okay. So yeah, this is the third child of Ginger and Benedict. So she also looks like a Monty. I'm glad because I need brown hair Sims. I don't know what it is, but my Sims just rarely ever get brown hair. So for her personality, she is a Libra. So she's more neat. She's very active. She's a little bit lazy, more playful, and very nice. So she's probably going to be a popularity Sim since she's so outgoing and so nice. That will work out well for her. And that's this family. So yeah, Georgia here, I don't know who she's pregnant with. I could look, but it's always fun when it's a surprise. So yeah, that's just kind of this thing with this family. Definitely a very crowded family, but I love it. So we have a very ugly house, but at least we have a very fun family to play. Perhaps I'll fix this up one day, but it just seems like I kind of want them to split up and move into different places. So we'll have to decide that soon. I feel like we should come over here to some of my faves. This is the Dreamer house where Dirk, Lilith, and their daughters Delilah and Wednesday live. It says Lilith and Dirk wanted to get away from Pleasant View and start a new life together. Now the parents of twin girls, can these two make sure they can devote enough time to each girl, or will they grow up to resent each other? So as you can kind of tell, it's kind of a play at Lilith's story with her sister Angela. So over here on the industrial side of Belladonna Cove, we have Dirk and Lilith and their twin daughters, Delilah and Wednesday. I had Lilith want to move out here kind of to be closer to the city because she just wanted to get away from Pleasant View. I mean, can you blame the girl? And of course, her and Dirk came together. So they've been together ever since they were teenagers. I think they're together right now. And over here, we have Lilith and Dirk having a very age-appropriate, relaxing time right now. Definitely wasn't trying to stop anything. So yeah, Lilith, she's actually 7 days from becoming an elder, and Dirk is 8 days. So Lilith, she is a popularity sim. She's been the same. She's been in the athletic career for her entire adult life. So she did follow in the steps of her father. She had an okay relationship with her dad, but not with her sister nor her mother. She is an Aquarius, so she's sloppy and shy, but very active. A little bit, or in between serious and playful. It looks like her playful used to be higher, and so was her niceness, so she's a little bit more grouchy now. She did go to university. She's a secondary fortune sim. And when it comes to her traits, she is a savvy sculptor, a night owl, an angler, flirty, and unstable. And then Dirk here, he is a fortune sim. He is top of the medical career. And he is a Virgo, so he's a little bit more neat, but he's still pretty shy. He's more active, a little bit more serious, and more nice. He's a secondary family sim, and he is a hopeless romantic, good, a virtuoso, hot-headed, and broody. So yeah, they've just been together basically since they were teenagers. They haven't had too much drama outside of Lilith's family. So it's been relatively calm. Moving out here was definitely for the benefit of Lilith and their twin daughters. So I want to go and introduce them. They're here playing Red Hands, of course. So yeah, this is Delilah, and she is a popularity sim. They're both in private schools, so since Lilith and Dirk have been so successful, they're definitely trying to get, their kids the best education that they can. She is a Cancer, so she's a little bit more neat, a little bit more outgoing, and a little bit more active, more serious, and kind of nice. She is very down the middle when it comes to most of her personality. And then Wednesday here, she is a knowledge sim, so she is very neat, but more shy, very active, but pretty serious, but also nice. So these two are identical twins for the most part. Maybe not. I don't know. They're very similar in so many ways, but also not. The whole thing with Lilith and her twin daughters is I wanted to kind of have her be, like, very paranoid about her, like, the way her parents treated her and her sister, where they clearly favorited Angela. So Lilith has been to the point an obsession to make sure both of her daughters are... Show them both. But yeah, to make sure that both of her daughters got enough attention. But in that, it's kind of like made them, it made them feel like they weren't their own person. So it kind of had an opposite effect on them as opposed to what happened with Lilith and Angela. Both of these girls are actually bisexual, funny enough. They both rolled it, I think. Maybe not. I thought she had someone that she was interested in, maybe not. Delilah does, though. She is definitely kind of really into Avelina. So yeah, that's these two. They still have plenty of time as teenagers. I don't think either of them... Oh, they do. So I guess I did give Dahlia here some traits. So she is an angler, a sailor, clumsy, and rebellious. So she seems like she would like to be a dread pirate. And then Wednesday, she did get her some traits too. So she's flirty, hot-headed, a loser, and clumsy. So I think I'm definitely going to have both of them go to college. I don't know. Maybe Delilah won't, because she's a popularity sim and they don't like to. But that'll be fun to see because that'll be more differences between them. This is a rather small house, but it works for their family. I always love Lilith and Dirk together. They're one of the only pair that I always insist that they are together just because I think they're so cute together. So a new family that I've newish family that I've kind of added to the neighborhood because what's more Sims, is this family over here. This is the Nova family. So we have Castor Nova, and this is Jane Nova. These two are from Sim State University. This was just a situation where their friends or friends that they've had were all growing up and soon to be elders, so it just felt weird that they were all the same age. So I finally added them into the rotation. And then this is their daughter Olivia and Kai. And so this is their description here that says, it wasn't It was just yesterday that Castor and his soon-to-be wife were in college, and now they're expecting. Obviously, their kids, they have a teenager. Can these two find the balance that allows them to grow together, or will Jane's want for a huge family force them to grow apart? And this is the Nova house. So this house didn't start this way. This is definitely a scenario where I keep adding on to this house as Castor and Jane here earn more money. I recently added a second floor. It's missing windows, so I will work on that. But this is definitely a house that was a lot smaller that I kind of made work and then added more to. I'm just having everyone relax right now so everybody can just chill out. I actually completely forgot Jane was pregnant. But here we have Castor. He is from Sim State University. He is a knowledge sim. He's kind of a player when you play him in Sim State University. But he eventually decided to settle down with Jane here. Jane's last name used to be Stacks, and I think Olivia still has her name because they got pregnant with her before they got married. They actually took a while to get married. I kind of had them have a quickie wedding just so it was done because Jane kept getting pregnant. So he is a knowledge sim. He is at the top of the medicine career. He is a chief of staff. He still loves music. He plays it, or I guess I have him more on vocals. He is a Virgo, so he's a little bit more sloppy, a little bit more shy, but he's slightly more active, in between serious and playful, and just a hair nice. Let's see. His secondary is, I don't have one for him yet. He does have, I can give him one, but because I started playing him later, I didn't have as many points to give away. But I gave him the irresistible trait because that's what always happened when you play him in university. He has a lot of girls that are into him. He is a natural-born performer. He's avant-garde, a virtuoso, and a loner. And then Jane here, she's a family sim. She works in the education career, so that was very fitting for my family sims. She's obviously pregnant with her third child. For her secondary, I didn't give her one yet too. She has less points, so that will have to happen probably soon. And then she is a workaholic, a night owl, a green thumb, nurturing, and family-oriented. So she's definitely a family sim through and through, even though she has a fear of having a baby. And we have Jane here dancing with her brother Kai. Jane just turned into a teenager. So she just got her aspiration, which is she is a family sim as well. She just became best friends with her brother. Just want to take a look at her. She has green eyes. I don't think she doesn't have a partner yet. She wants to go steady, so, but like I said, she has something with Zahir here, but they might have a bit of an age difference. She is a Pisces, so she's a little bit more sloppy. She's shy, slightly more active, in between serious and playful, but she is nice. And I have given her some traits. So she is absent-minded, a night owl, and a loner. So we'll definitely flesh her out more and probably get her a boyfriend. Have you had your first kiss? Yes, she has. Unsurprising. And then Kai here, who's super cute. He just recently became a child. So he is just getting his legs. He looks like he wants to make a bunch of friends. He looks like he has a bunch of friends. But he wants to become best friends with them. So that's cute. I wonder if for his personality, he's a Cancer, so he's pretty middle of the road for when it comes to all of his traits. So slightly more sloppy, slightly more shy, a bit more active, in between serious and playful, and a little bit more nice. Wait a second. Okay, they don't have the same. But I think, he'll either be a fortune or a popularity sim, probably. So we got plenty of time before that, but maybe because he already has friends and wants more friends, I feel like popularity would work out for him. He's going to be a popular kid because he's so cute. Green sweater to match his green eyes, but he will be a big brother here soon. And that is our Nova family with Stacks, with Julia or Olivia still having the Stacks last name because I still kind of want that to carry on. So we're going to go on to, I think we only have 2 families left after this. And I'm going to go way over here. this is the Lost family. So this is a bit of a crazy family because there's there's siblings here that live together. But this is a newish family, so I haven't given them a description because I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do with them. But this is Victor Lost. We met his sister, his twin sister, Thea, and Faith is also his sister in Strange Town. He had just ended up moving here with his wife, Piper Lost. She used to be Piper Baldwin, but Kali Baldwin is living with them as well. And then Kali's son, Hassan. And then these two, Rio and Sylvia, they just had. So each one was pregnant recently. So I'll show their family tree because it's a bit complicated when we get inside. This is actually a very nice house. This is supposed to be like kind of a little bit more farmhouse, but I guess it gives like suburban as much as possible. But I've seen farms that have like really nice houses as well. So they do have a little area back here with the garden that's actually for Victor here. So yeah, we have Kali and Piper, who are sisters. Kali's her older sister. And then we have Victor, who is married to Piper, Hassan, and Rio, and Sylvia. And this is Kali Baldwin. I want to show her family tree. She is the child of Isabel and Benjamin, and she is the second child between them, or second daughter between them. And then I believe Piper is the fourth. So she's third in line when it came to their family. She has two kids. Hassan here is Badri's son, and then little Sylvia is Tycho's son. So she actually got pregnant with Tycho's baby when he was still in university. So I believe he knows about it, but it was definitely a random pregnancy. Akali here, she is a romance sim. She has been doing romance sim things. I wanted her to live with her sister because I just wanted to cut down on the number of households, and then, you know, they always had childcare when you live together. So, but she works as in the culinary career. So she definitely took after, I believe it's her mother who is the chef. So she took after, I believe it was her mother. And then she is a Leo, so she's very neat, very outgoing, but she's lazy, more playful, and pretty grouchy. Her secondary is knowledge. And then her traits are perfectionist, artistic, loves to swim, she's a kleptomaniac, and she's a schmoozer. But she's had many, many relationships. All of these are gifts that she's gotten from dates that I just keep in case I want her to move into her own place so she can sell them. But I think I'm going to leave this family together. I know that Piper wants to have a bunch of kids, but they can have two more. Piper here, who's very interesting looking. She's holding her son Rio, who also is a little interesting looking. But yeah, she is the youngest of the Baldwins. She is a family sim. She just wants to have kids. She hasn't shown any real interest in getting a job, so that's also another reason why her sister is pretty happy to live with them. They also got a lot of money after their parents passed, so they kind of pulled it together to get a better house. She's a Capricorn, so she's more neat. She's shy, very lazy, but the maximum playful and very nice. When it comes to her secondary, she is a secondary knowledge sim, and she is a computer whiz, neat, neurotic, eco-friendly, and clumsy. Victor here, who is just getting out of bed in his clothes, has yet to find a job. He's still pretty young, but he definitely wants to get into the music career, so I've been having him wait. Just as a reminder, he is the child of Kristen and Laszlo. He is twins with Thea. But he's a family sim, so him and Piper, I'm sure, are going to have lots of kids. No job with him either. We're waiting on that music career. But he's a Libra. He's very sloppy, but very outgoing. Very lazy, very playful, and pretty nice. So he has he's a very strong personality. He does have a secondary, which is popularity, and then for his traits, he's excitable, loves the cold, heavy sleeper, a green thumb, and he is a vegetarian. He's in the bathroom here. He's still pretty early on in his teenage years, so he has plenty of time. He wants to have a first kiss. He is a romance sim, so I'm sure he'll find plenty of ladies. Maybe, maybe not. He's in public school. He's a Libra, so he is more sloppy, but very outgoing and more active, more playful, and more nice. So he can be a lot of things for his secondary. But you deserve that. And for his traits, he is ambitious, a bot fan, and neurotic. I don't know, do you have a good relationship with your father? Yes. He has a fairly good relationship with his father, at least. And then when it comes to the toddlers here, who are both new toddlers and still need to learn basically all of their skills. Look at his nose. He's going to be very interesting looking. For his personality, he's a Cancer, but looks like he's not just middle of the road. Neat, but he's more shy. He's very active, very playful, and very nice. And then he doesn't have any traits, so we're just going to wait for him to grow up. Same with Sylvia, who got some pretty crazy hair. Her mouth wide open. I don't think she has met her father yet. No, she has not. But personality-wise, she is a Sagittarius, so she's sloppy, pretty shy, but very active, pretty playful, and nice. So I wouldn't be surprised if she is a fortune sim. What's bad? Yeah. So yeah, that's this family. It's a little complicated, but I'm sure it's going to get more complicated with Piper and Victor here having more kids and not having jobs. And a final look at the house. It is a pretty nice house. I did want to point out we have the graves of Isabel and Benjamin here. I brought them with them. And then, yeah, this is the garden that generally Victor takes care of. So it's a very nice house, but I wanted them to be kind of away from the city and more have like a agriculture type of mindset. Maybe they're a little bit crunchy too. And we're actually going to have our last family right near where we actually started with our Belladonna Cove introductions. This is the Caliente house. I did recently move her into this house, I think last round, so this house isn't very furnished. But here we have Gina Caliente, who is she is the daughter, the first child of Dina. But I haven't given her a description yet, but we'll go ahead and meet her. This is actually a bin house that I've just placed down because I really wanted to put Gina in here. And this is Gina Caliente. I actually want to show her family tree because she is actually the daughter of Dina and Don Lothario. Mortimer thought that this Gina was her child, but this actually happened. It was literally the first day of gameplay. I was playing Don Lothario's condo, and Dina got pregnant on that very first day. So Gina is basically been around since then. But yeah, I'll go ahead and wake her up because she's actually asleep right now. And this is Gina Caliente, sticking with the Ina names for at least one of the Calientes. So I want to get a look at her. She's very red. She's always been into pink and red. That's always been her color scheme, especially with her red hair. She looks very much like her aunt, Nina. So that's why I kind of had Mortimer not pay too much attention to what she looked like, because she just looks like Nina. And therefore looks like Dina's side. So yeah, she is actually kind of halfway through her life. She's 24 days before becoming an elder. She's reached the top of the slacker career. So she's just going on dates and just kind of surviving off that. She does have a bunch of money still. I haven't really done much with this house, but I think she's pregnant, actually. So she's not about to be alone for a minute. She is a Aries, so she's a little bit more neat. She's very outgoing, very active, in between serious and playful, and just slightly more grouchy. For her secondary, she's a secondary fortune sim, and for her traits, she's a diva, she's a snob, she's a schmoozer, clumsy, and good. So yeah, that's her. I think her life's about to change quite a bit. She's a very pretty sim. I love this curly hair on her, even though she's very red, but she definitely has Nina's look and Nina's personality. So she's a lot like her aunt. I think she has a good relationship with a lot of her family. Yep, yeah, she's best friends with her aunt. So yeah, this family will be fun, but this is our last house. And a final look at the final family in Belladonna Cove. So I believe this is my largest of all of the subhoods. I think next I'm just going to go over university. And that is it for our Belladonna Cove introductions video. This is now part 4. And there is going to be one more part. It is going to be a combination of my downtown families, which there's only a handful, and the couple sims that are left at university. I still wanted to show them, and I feel like it's the best time for me to go over my kind of overly complicated university gameplay rules. But I do hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoy how I've kind of introduced a lot of the Belladonna Cove families into the rest of my stupidhood. And I can't wait until release the last video, and then we'll actually get to some actual gameplay. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.